Geeksvana is your drone channel, providing news, reviews, flights, interviews, and much more.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Geeksvana. Those of you who have watched my recent video series on the new drone regulations which are due to come into effect across Europe from 2020 and onwards, with bedding in periods, etc., will know well that one of the cornerstones of those EU directives is that each member state will be required to run a drone registration scheme. If you haven't seen our EU drone law series, there is a link in the description, and not wishing to be political at all, it should be kept in mind that it is the intention of the UK government and the CAA to remain a member of ESA, the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, to create a level platform across Europe to allow major investment from the coming drone highways of Amazon and Google, etc. It is something which will assist in investment in the UK, whatever form Brexit eventually takes. The registration scheme in the UK was born as DRES, or the Drone Registration and Education Scheme. It is due to come into force in November 2019, with registration opening from the 1st of October, which of course has now passed. If you were to inquire to the CAA about what is happening, you'll get a mainly confused, we'll get back to you type of response. You will remember, this is the scheme which will require all drone flyers to register their drone. There's been a number of controversies around the scheme, including the cost of £16.50. which of course is much higher than many of the schemes already in place around the world, and the fact that the RC helicopter and fixed-wing model flyers were previously operating under the assumption that they would not need to register. That didn't turn out to be correct, and model flyers and drone operators will need to take the online exam and register, but through a consistent campaign from the RC community backed by the larger organisations such as the BMFA, along with a change of personnel at the Department of Transport, we are now looking at a missed deadline for potentially good reasons. A recent email from the Chief Executive of the BMFA has shone a little light on the subject. Mr. Phipps opens the email with confirmation that there is no real news. However, he then goes on to suggest that until the BMFA update its members again, not to register when the scheme does open until another update comes through. In his email he states, "What we can confirm, however, is that the DRES scheme will not be rolled out on the 1st of October. It seems unlikely it will be rolled out before the 14th of October at the earliest, and for the time being we would therefore suggest that it remains business as usual. We would also encourage members not to rush into registering or taking the test when DRES is eventually rolled out until we've issued further guidance. Again, we would also encourage members not to register or taking the test when DRES is eventually rolled out until we have issued further guidance." This seems a little controversial to me. With the drone registration law coming into force on the 30th of November and the scheme itself being delayed by at least 2 weeks, I'm not sure a major body acting on behalf of the hobby should necessarily be taking this approach. It just seems a little close to the legal deadline to be holding off, but that's my personal opinion. I realise the email is intended for all the RC flyers within the BMFA membership, but there was no real differential for those members who are purely drone flyers or who fly both drone and RC models. I also realise that this is an attempt to ensure members do not sign up only to find out that the requirements for BMFA members or RC model flyers changes and therefore cost you money you didn't need to spend. But there perhaps should have been a greater explanation of this point. There is a growing voice within the drone community which has spread through social media. This is the strategy of non-flying, non-registering pilots who intend to park their drone for the winter. Being that the UK weather also hinders regular flights, this particular idea does seem to be very popular. Could it be that the delay is partially in response to what would have been a major embarrassment with low numbers registering? Possibly so. I have to say that I have been surprised by the sheer numbers of Facebook group members who seem to have supported this idea. So, it would appear that at the moment drone registration is still coming and the legal deadline of the 30th of November 2019 is unlikely to move. It is more around when the scheme launches and in what form it takes and who will need to use it. Clear as mud really, isn't it? I wouldn't expect the UK to take the same steps as Australia, where CASA have pushed their own scheme to next year, because of the UK's desire to remain a member of ESA and therefore benefit from the coming investment in the drone highways of the future. Now we will of course keep you informed of any progress as soon as we know anything. So remember to subscribe to keep updated and hit the notification bell to get the latest drone news first.
Please remember to like and subscribe.